we're all less careful than we think.
Well, I think for some people, they feel like if they're wearing a mask, they're protected, and they forget about actually social distancing, or they forget about hand washing. It's actually social distancing is probably the most important thing that you can do. Wearing a mask is another measure that you take. Um, Again, you wear the mask to protect other people around you, but it's not intended to protect yourself from getting infected. But it's an effective measure for source control, and it's a different kind of mask than what I would be wearing if I was in the operating room at Stanford, for instance. Those are respirators, which are not necessarily the same as the community face mask.
And the other thing is sometimes people wear dirty respirators because they save these one or two or three respirators that they managed to get before the virus started, or that they got from a friend. And they think that you can just wear them, and because it's a respirator, you're going to be protected. But first of all, continued use breaks down the materials. Second of all, it needs to be disinfected, or you're actually, like Dr. Chu says, you're putting biohazardous wastes like on your face. And is that something we really want to do? Because, in other times, we would immediately throw the mask into the biohazard bag if we were, or the container, if we were like at a hospital. So it's important to know not only to wear a clean mask. It's not like, your socks, like maybe you think you can get one more day out of them. No, once your mask has been exposed, you need to wash it. And the other thing is, it's a bit like a toothbrush. Okay, so your mask, it has your personal germs on it. So you don't actually want to lend it even to a family member. So think of it like a toothbrush, and keep your germs to yourself. So.
Yeah, I love that toothbrush analogy. It's so appropriate. I often see people in public with non-medical N95 respirators that are often used for construction, and they have exhalation valves on them, and so you'll see that the half spheres with the little valve sticking out. And those kind of upset me because it's kind of bypassing the whole point of source control. You're just breathing all their germs out right at you. But a lot of people don't realize that's what they're doing. They feel like they're being good citizens, but they don't realize that the mask, the N95 mask may be filtering in the air they're breathing, but they're just blowing out all the germs to everybody around them.
Do you think the discourse around face masks has affected the way we see them and way we use them? Things like people using these kind of face masks, they look good and it's a face mask at the end of the day, so yeah, that'll do, or just people not believing in them?
It is actually an interesting question, because you can kind of spin that both ways. So a face mask, we're not able to make the same kind of contact with people because we use our mouths like to smile and to show expression, and it shows it's a lot easier to read people and to communicate, and also to hear. So there's a lot of people that they're not stone deaf, but they can't hear so well. So what do? When people are masked, they get in really close, so they can hear, which kind of like defeats the purpose. Or the masks steam up because they're wearing glasses. There's all kinds of difficulties with that. But then on the other hand, if you're a woman and you spent your whole life and you won't go out the door unless you have like a full face makeup on, I mean, you just saved yourself major time, because you can put that mask on and like you're set. And I found that my own form of social distancing, that probably sounds a little crazy, but I go mismatched as ugly as possible, because I want people to think that I'm a bag lady, so that they completely keep their distance. So, if I have to be in a store for any extended length of time, I don't want anyone coming near me or touching me. And so, and for some people, I think that have small children, it's also very difficult because some children are afraid of masks. And also, if you tell a child, you need to wear this, their first answer is, no, why should I? And our answer is the same, but we hide it better. And in the meantime, you have the parents that are already stressed because they've got their kids, and these kids are staying home when normally they go to school and they do other things, they play with their friends. So it's a difficult time for the family. And now you're trying to get these little children to wear masks. And that's a challenge. So how do you do it? So, you use some educational psychology, and you can gamify it. You can show them, you can get them to name their mask. You can get them to buy a child from under-resourced place. You can buy masks for them so that you're a part of saving the world. You can make it a game. You can penalize other family members for not wearing masks. And every time you catch someone, you put money in a jar. Then at the end of the week, everyone goes for ice cream or to do something that you can do when you're still distancing. So I think there's all kinds of ways that we can work around it. We're all going to do what we have to do. And in terms of fashion, if it's made something that turns into fashion, that changes everything. Because you watch women, for instance, and they'll walk in 6-inch heels. That can't possibly be fun. There's all kinds of things that we do for fashion. Women wear nylons. Those things feel horrible. And so once the mask becomes socialized, kind of as a fashion statement, and I think that there will be a lot more acceptance. And you also have the area where, especially in the UK, I remember there was actually quite a lot of news because women would wear the full burqas. And then they said, oh, we can't see your driver's license. And there were a lot of laws going back and forth. So now there's a bit of stigma with the masks. And that stigma is taken away because now you have to wear a mask.